All right, guys, it is crunch time on the Chevette. As you just seen, I got the rear all finished up since the last video, and that leaves us today to get this air management wrapped up because tomorrow is the Ruckus, so let's get busy. All right, so we're just gonna jump right into it because we ain't got much time. Already got the back all cleaned out here, hoping to fit all the air management in the spare tire wheel well here. And as you can see, already ran the air lines, this being the rear. The front is teed together up there and just ran a single one back here. I didn't show you guys that, but if you can't run air lines, you probably shouldn't be bagging your car anyways. But that's the plan, and should be pretty easy hiding it all in there because as far as management goes, we are keeping it stupid easy and simple. All we're going to have, tank, compressor, valves that are all plumbed together, super easy, and that's just miscellaneous wiring and stuff, but shouldn't be too bad getting all that hidden in this car. The biggest issue is the gas tank is right under here, so I can't drill any holes. So my plan is I'm going to get everything marked out and just weld studs to the floor so we can bolt everything down. So that's what I'm going to start with. So I'll get these all welded in and get back to you guys. Okay, so give you guys a look at this. I got the compressor and the relay mounted. I just grounded the compressor to one of them bolts. We got two more over here. These will be hold downs for the valves, which I'm remembering right now I forgot to pick up, but that's all right. Something we can do later. And then we'll have four back there for the air tank. So I got these valves pieced together how they're going to be, but we'll get them on the bench. I'll show you guys exactly how I have them plumbed. I get a lot of questions about air management every time I do this stuff, so I'll try to go over it the best I can for you, and I'll get these things all Tefloned and screwed together and we'll get them in the car. Okay, so this is how I'm doing it on this car. There's a million ways you can plumb and wire valves. You can have anywhere minimum 4, 6, 8 valves. So there's a million different ways to do this, but I'll just give you guys a basic rundown of how I'm doing it. And I did it this way just to keep everything, you know, just tight together, real simple, easy on this car. So that's how I plumbed them. So we'll have our 4 valves, 2 for the front, 2 for the rear. I mean, you could run them anyway. These could be front, rear, front, whatever you want to do. But I'm going to have 2 for the front, 2 for the rear. If you're running 8 valves, you'd have 2 for each corner. I think that's pretty obvious. But yeah, how I'm doing these ones, as you can see, all plumbed together. This will be air pressure from the tank coming in. It'll feed both sets of valves. These will be the lift valves and your dump valves. So you'll have air pressure up to these valves. When you hit the up switch, this valve opens and allows air pressure into this fitting, which is going to either the front or the rear, same as this side. Open this valve, sends air pressure out this fitting to wherever you want to run it. And once that closes, you'll have tank pressure on this side, bag pressure on this side. And when you hit the switch to air it out, this valve will open, which is just open to the air. So air pressure, bag pressure feeds through there, dumps through the valve. You can run silencers or run, you know, a chunk of air line outside to quiet it down, whatever you want to do. I'm just going to leave them open like that. And got a pressure switch. You can run it in line, you can run it on the tank, on the valves like I'm doing, run it up front to your dash, whatever you want to do. I'm just going to run it right off this whole contraption I have here, as well as the pressure switch, which will turn the compressor on and off. And I added one extra little thing, which is just a quick disconnect for an air hose. In case there's ever an issue with the compressor on the car, I can get air into the tank, but I can also use it with an air hose to air up tires or run air tools on the side of the road, whatever you want to do. But I think that's pretty much the rundown on that. We'll get into the wiring once they're mounted in the car. It's also super simple, but right now I'm going to get all this blown apart, Teflon every fitting, get them screwed back together, and we'll get them in the car. All right, guys, so I got air tank mounted, compressor ran to it. We got the valves mounted, and by mounted, I mean the air lines are holding it in place because I forgot to grab straps, but it'll be fine for the weekend. That is plumbed into the air tank also. Then I just used shop air on our quick disconnect, pumped it up so I can check for leaks. It's holding pretty good. I went around with soapy water, sprayed it down. I think we're all good to go on that. So next, I'm going to run this wire. I'm not exactly sure what gauge that is. It's just something I had laying around. A little heavier than we need, but it's what I had. So I'm gonna go ahead, run that from the battery back into the trunk here, and I'll check back, show you guys exactly what I'm doing with it. All right, guys, so check it out. I got that cable ran. Not hooked up yet, but it'll come from the battery. Got it fused. Don't be that guy. Always fuse your power wires. And come to the back. Got it ran into the trunk and hooked to the one side of the relay, which will feed the compressor. So next, I'm going to run this wire. I don't know if you can see, but it's just got 4 wires inside of there. Going to run it under the carpet into the center console there, and that'll be the power wire for each one of these 4 valves. The other prong will just ground, so I will connect all 4 grounds together and just ground them to one of them studs there, as well as the one side of the relay. Just run a little small ground jumper wire to the ground there, and that'll be good. And then what else we got? I'll have to run power wire from, you can do it from the battery. I'm going to do it from the fuse box because I just want ignition hot. I don't want hot all the time. So I'll find an ignition hot, fuse it, run it back to the pressure switch, and the other side of the pressure switch will run to the positive of the relay. I'm not sure which side it is, but one of them's positive, one's negative. So we'll get power and ground hooked up on the relay there. We'll get power ran back to the pressure switch, and we'll run that wire, which will be the power for each 4 of them valves. Then I'll check back with you guys. And one other thing I forgot to mention on these valves when I was plumbing them, air valves are directional. They'll have an arrow underneath showing you the airflow. So make sure you get that right, or else they blow up and you die. So yeah, get it right. All right, so I got that one ran from the trunk up under the carpet into the center console area. And I was able to snake it through one of the factory seatbelt holes, so I didn't have to cut a hole in the carpet. So that's good. And I ran an ignition hot back to the trunk for the pressure switch. But we're going to stop right there for a moment, and we got to run to the parts store. We still need shocks for this thing, and I want to get there before they close. So we're going to do that, and then we'll get back here and get to work. Yeah guys, my local parts store is a little cooler than yours, and there's always something cool in the parking lot, so let's check them out. Yeah, I mean, it's no rusty Toyota, but it's all right. All right, guys, so we got our shocks, and I wish I would have been filming when my parts came out. They usually just yell your name that's on the screen, and that guy actually recognized me and yelled zip tie. So it's kind of funny, kind of weird, but let's get back to the shop and get to work. All right, guys, just came back to the shop and we are running out of time. So we're going to jump right back on this thing right where we left off. You remember, had these 4 wires here for each 4 of the valves. We're gonna have to ground them valves also. And it runs up to here. And those will be going to toggle switches for the front and rear. And this is going to be an on-off switch for the compressor. I ran it off ignition hot and it is fused, but I also want it just on an on and off switch, just in case there's ever an issue. I can just turn it off anytime I want. But yeah, I think that's pretty much what we got so far. So I'm gonna get these few little things connected, then we'll jump back in the trunk and finish up the little bit we have there, and hopefully we're all good. All right, guys, so just to give you a quick rundown on this wiring before we jump to the shocks, because we are beyond out of time. We are past time, and this is admittedly ghetto, but that's okay. I'm a little bit ghetto, and it's just for the weekend. Long-term plan, I want to find a Evel Knievel lunchbox for a switch box, but I'm having a hard time finding one that's not hundreds of dollars. But this will do for the weekend, and it's super simple. We just got a switch for the front. That'd be up, down. Same for the rear, up and down. And that is just a on-off switch for the compressor. And as far as the wiring, like I said, just give you guys a quick rundown because I get a ton of questions. This is just that cable that had the 4 wires on it that we ran from the trunk. 2 to each switch for the valves. Then I ran this wire, which is off the ignition hot. It's fused. came up here and powers both switches. I just made a jumper switch from one to the other. So that's that ghetto setup. And in the trunk, this would be that cable with the 4 wires, 1 power wire running to each valve. Then I just daisy chained all the grounds together on the valves and ran it to one of them studs. So all the valves are grounded, powered. Then we got this wire, which is also ignition hot, comes back here into the pressure switch. When the pressure switch opens, sends power back out of it, which comes over to the relay. Power's on the small side of the relay, which is also just power and ground. So small side turns on the big side, which is just that big cable from the battery. It flips on and powers the compressor. This wire is, I just ran it while I had all the carpet and everything up. Eventually I want to add a air horn, so I just went ahead and ran a power for that right now. But that is pretty much the trunk setup, and it's on shop air right now, so we can play with it. Let's see what we got. All right, so that's that. That's kind of cool, right? Last thing we're going to do for the night is we're going to get these wheels off, throw some shocks on this thing, get it back on the ground, and probably call it a night. It is getting pretty late, and we got a big morning. Going to have to get this thing. I've never even really test drove it. The only test drive I've ever done was 15 minutes, and it overheated, and it wasn't charging. And I brought it back. Hopefully I got both those issues figured out. Really not sure. Threw a new alternator on it. And the overheating, they had a big trainee cooler right in front of the radiator, so I took that off. I don't think a Chevette needs a trainee cooler really. So took that off, and also I think it had some air in the system. If you remember back to the first video, I mentioned the guy did a water pump on this thing the night before I picked it up, and I don't think he got all the air bled out. If you notice, radiator cap is a little bit lower than the heater hose. So I had this thing jacked way up, so radiator cap was higher. I think I got some air bled out of it. So I'm hoping between that and removing that trainee cooler in front of the radiator, overheating will be taken care of. Hopefully it's charging, but like I said, we'll get some shocks on this thing and call it a night. We got a big morning, gotta get this thing cleaned up, go for a test drive, and we're gonna head over to my buddy Alex's, which you guys have seen him a few times on the channel, and want to help him out finishing up his truck real quick, and it'll be Ruckus time. All right, so front shocks are on, and that is kind of an accomplishment for me because most of the time when I bag something, it doesn't get front shocks, but luckily these bolted right back into the factory location, super easy. So get this front back together on the ground and throw these rears on. Holy smokes, guys. I think we're actually going to pull it off. There's some things I'll go back, clean up on the wiring and suspension, but nothing that's going to keep us from getting out this weekend and having a good time. And that was a pretty big hustle. So it's about midnight now. We'll be back out here maybe 6, 7 o'clock in the morning. Gotta get this whole driveway cleared out so we can get this junker out, and we'll get to the car wash, get it cleaned up, and go from there. Morning, guys. We are back at it, getting a few things packed up, and we're gonna be hitting the road soon. So hopefully Chevette's ready. Gotta get a couple of these things moved out of here so we can get it out and kind of get moving. You know, I was thinking last night was them couple of videos Amanda was in. I joked around about her OnlyFans, and I got dozens and dozens and dozens of comments on that. And I've mentioned mine like at least 5 times, and none of you guys have cared. What is that all about? So I really wish this thing was ready. How sweet would this be with a trailer behind it, hauling the Chevette, camping out in this thing? But we'll get to it. All right, so last junker moved. We can get to the junker we're trying to get to, and I'm gonna head to the car wash, get this thing washed up, come back, pack up a few things, and we're hitting the road. And hard to believe, under 2 weeks ago, drugged this thing in after been sitting for decades, bone stock, and look at it now. Not too bad, right? But yeah, let's head to the car wash, get this thing cleaned up, and we'll go from there. Alright guys, so got it cleaned up, got it fueled up, and it immediately started dripping fuel from the fuel line, and I literally have no time to go home and fix it. So we're just going to keep rolling, heading to my buddy Alex's, give him a hand getting his stuff finished up, and if there's any major issues there, we'll address them. If not, we're going to keep rolling, meet up some other buddies, and hopefully if there is any problems, some of them guys will have tools or anything we need, at least get me off the road, because this thing is completely untested, and I have 0 tools or anything with me, completely unprepared. But luckily, I'll be traveling with a good group of buddies, and they got my back, so if anything does go wrong, they'll help me get fixed up, or worst case, they'll sit on the side of the road with me. But let's see how this goes. Alright, I shouldn't say it, but this thing is actually driving surprisingly well. We're about halfway there. I stopped once just to check it over, make sure no issues with the bags rubbing or that fuel leak wasn't getting any worse. And so far it's pretty good. It actually rides really good. But shouldn't say that, I know. But hopefully we make it the rest of the way there, and I'll get back with you guys. Look at us, guys, we made it. Who cares if it's only 15 minutes, that's something. And you might need a 4-wheel drive Chevette to make it up his driveway. Oh, what was that noise? All right, and you guys remember on the last video when I stopped here, he was pretty embarrassed about how dirty his shop was. So we'll see if it's cleaned up.
keener. Ain't going nowhere.
All right, guys, so we got Alex's truck fixed up and all ready to go, heading to meet everyone else, and we'll be on the road. So my buddy Carl had a tire rubbing, but I think we got it straightened out and back on the road. All right, guys, so we kind of suck again. This one's not charging. This one, tire's rubbing. This one, bag cup popped out of the lower control arm. Mine, fuel leak, and door flew open on this camper. But we're getting there. We'll make it. Alright guys, so we just got off the highway. We are on the road to the Ruckus, and a few small issues with a couple guys, but Chevette is actually doing pretty awesome, other than we got that small fuel leak, but nothing I'm worried about for the weekend unless it gets any worse. So all in all, I can't complain, pretty good, and we'll see you guys at the show. Well guys, we actually made it. You can see Dirt coming off the dirt track already. Place is packed. It's going to take us a few minutes to get in there, but go us. Well guys, we made it. Some of us had some issues. Tore up the radiator on this one. This one's still not charging. And fuel leak on this one, but we're here. So I think that's a good stopping point for this video. And I guess on the next one, you guys will see what the Ruckus is all about.